So I want to welcome you all to the second inaugural of Between Nightmare and Prophecy Live. It'll be uh every other Thursday. Moving forward, I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Make sure you tap this, share it with your friend. Yes, I'm live streaming. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm a master's degree holder, underemployed, just out here attempting, and hope you all can join and enjoy with me. And I'm glad that you can hear me, and I'm glad that you made it tonight. So before we begin, if you could just get like a posture, like where you just plant your 2 feet on the ground, maybe put your hands like on your thighs and just do a few breathing exercises with me, um, as a way to like just silence yourself, center yourselves, because we're here between Nightmare and Prophecy. Again, this will be every other Thursday, live streaming here on Substack. Make sure you share with your friends. Make sure you share with your loved ones, okay? All right. Just going to take a breather. Again, you're at the second inaugural Between Nightmare and Prophecy. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. Some of y'all can't breathe out because you got that congestion going on and the weather keeps going to 50 and it's like 25. But we're going to breathe in. And if you can't breathe in through your nose, use your mouth. And we're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to exhale everything, every stress, every situation, every whatever that's been bothering us or disturbing us. We're going to exhale. We're going to get in a posture of understanding. It's kind of crazy. I just did this whole thing. I believe it was a test run because I knew everything I said really didn't work out. So I'm so glad you're here. Again, welcome to Between Nightmare and Prophecy. There's a storm that doesn't use thunder, just quiet panic, soft-spoken dread. And people are forgetting their own names. We moving fast, but we ain't going nowhere. I'm Zuogwi Earl in exile with a memory and a microphone reporting live between Nightmare and Prophecy. Again, I want to welcome you all to the inaugural, because I had to do this joint twice. So sweet, I had to do it twice. Just welcome you to this. This is not like a sermon. I mean, we are going to have like some kind of biblical discussion tonight, but not in the necessarily in the terms of like, and the Lord said, no, it's not any of that. It's more of just something for you to meditate on. My sound still good, Shelly B? I'm hoping so. As we are, dang, that sound went like down in my headphones. I don't really know what's going on. Again, this is the inaugural episode, so we just want to make sure everything is straight. And hopefully everybody can hear me. So tonight, we're going to have a conversation. Fix my microphone. And get you one. This $37 on TikTok Shop. So tonight I want to talk to you about death, but not the death that kind of puts you in a coffin, but more of the kind that makes you become someone else. And I started thinking about this like earlier today, even last night a little bit, about Tyler the Creator and what an amazing run he's had and like all of the things that he's been doing as an artist. I remember in 2010 when I was introduced to him, I really didn't listen to him because I thought he was different or like in the black church, he was demonic. And so like I didn't listen to him for a long time. There may be a few little radio hits that I would hear from every once in a while, but I was not banging with Tyler the Creator. He was not my steez for real. But as I got older and as I got to like his recent albums and then went back, I discovered this whole personal experience that I thought about. And I thought about this one song. It's called Sorry Not Sorry. And essentially, I'm gonna put that joint in the group so y'all can see it for yourselves as well. Give me 1 second. That's the good thing about a live stream, right? Like you could authentically be yourself. No need to like be extra about it. Oh my God, where's my towel? Here we go. Tie the bowler there. I just put that in the link there when you have some time to think about it. Um, this interesting realm of Tyler, his whole lived experience and the personas that he's had moving into who he is right now. And I was thinking about this as a cause for like, one, we are always in a constant death and resurrection of killing things that aren't really good for us, but also, I'm getting my Bible, also putting ourselves in a posture to experience something new. And I think it's important for us as we move into a cataclysmic world where nothing seems to be going right, nothing makes sense at all, nothing has anything, it's strange out there. Hey, hello, Jay Boyd, how are you? And so as we're going through this, I want you all to think about it. And if you have time to click that link after we have this discussion, um, just on the idea of like the continuous death and resurrection and the prosperous fruit that comes from that experience of being a seed planted, buried, and preparing fruit. And that brings us to like the text that I want us to think about today. I'm really trying to make sure this sound and everything is straight because I have, oh, there it is. Oh my God. All right. John chapter 12. This is like right as Jesus is about to get stuff popping, about to fulfill every prophecy that he said about the experience he was about to have with your life. But anyway, chapter 12. So good to see you, J Boy. Thank you. Make sure you're sharing. Michelle B. Dave Serrano, what's up? Leonza Sanders. I think I've almost known you for 20 years, my friend. So if we're looking at John chapter 12, verses 24, very, very truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just as a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And this is so crazy. I just want to say this really quick. I literally did this with no sound a few minutes ago. So I'm like overly anxious to make sure that this goes well. I want us to think about this. Except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die. Except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die. The seed has two options, and I want you to think about this. You can stay safe and alone or go in the ground and die. And think about the kind of transformation that you want to have, especially going into the season where we're supposed to give up something, forfeit something in order for us to become who we are supposed to be. Um, this Lent is like we're forsaking something as we observe the resurrection of Christ again. If a seed stays the seed, it stays alone, but if it dies, it becomes something else. Many of us don't realize that we are continuously having resurrection and death within who we are and what we're becoming, right? We don't pay attention to that. We realize that with artistry, we realize that with personalities, we realize that with different kind of things that people go through their own hell. One of the most brilliant people I think who was continuously reinventing himself is Prince. Prince had this ability of reinventing himself, cultivating something new, even when society thought that he couldn't, or when they tried to trap him into certain things, he was always able to resurrect from what was to be able to have something fruitful and prosperous, right? And so when I think about Tyler the Creator and just the uniqueness of knowing, I was about to say Tyler the Creator has a ministry, but I believe that artists are ministers. They just speak in a different tone. Like Tyler the Creator, when he first came out, was so chaotic. I remember he was eating cockroaches on YouTube. And I always thought that it was demonic, so I was not really messing with that. And I was just like, nah, that's not for me. And so I never really paid attention to him. It wasn't until recently where I got to a point in my life where I just honestly gave one of his recent albums a try, and that was Call Me If You Get Lost. And it was about the ever evolving self that someone has or someone is producing. Or like you get to a point in your life where you go from chaos, rage, narrating yourself, from vulnerability, tenderness, emotional obsession to this confident wandering adult, and I felt myself in that same kind of manner. And the thing is like when we're dealing with like people's artwork, or we're dealing even with preachers, there are continuously deaths and resurrections, or things that we are burying so that something can become fruitful from that moment. Every new era is a funeral. Every 10 years, there should be a funeral within someone's self. Like there should be a rising and falling, as Mahalia Jackson would say. As in we don't really know like how these things happen, but we do know that there's some times where we go away, but then there's also some kind of rising that we must pay attention to. And I think it's important that we have these kind of conversations because people are so rigid. Like everything is so rigid right now. Nobody wants to actually have these conversations about the development of what it takes to bury something that is dead to see it bear fruit. I mean, the reason why I'm even using John chapter 12, verses 24 is because if you look at any of the other gospels that we have, uh, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. John is the most funkiest one. And the reason why John is the most funkiest one is because John's gospel does not have like this lineage story. It doesn't go into this whole detailed experience about who begat who to engage us in this. And it doesn't talk about, oh, Mary was attended by an angel. None of these things. It goes into this very flowery language. It's like an Afro-Palestinian surrealist conversation about the coming. I mean, it's almost, if you read it, there is an apocalyptic nature in that. What is apocalyptic? Like the end of the world, the last things kind of situation that John starts off with, John's gospel. And I think the reason why I pointed to this specific text is because Christ or Jesus or that nappy headed Negro from Nazareth, he always has these moments when he's talking about what's going to happen and how, all his friends going to betray him and shit. I mean, and stuff. And so I curse a little bit every once in a while. But the poignant thing is when he keeps talking about this idea of something being dead, NHNF. and exclamation point. I don't know that, Michelle. I'm like an old millennial. I don't know what y'all saying, except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die. What does it mean for it to die? A grain of wheat has to die. The seed has to go into the ground and be buried so that it can bear fruit, right? And I think about all these things that we have prematurely pushed, right? We've prematurely pushed people into becoming something that they're not ready for. Like Black children, we like even in a society, we choose like if it's a big little boy, we say, "Oh, look at this grown man," or if it's a girl that use language to say that they're promiscuous. We're rushing people to become something that they're not. Nappy headed nigga, catch up and keep talking. I'm trying to do that, Charlie. Um, like we rush adulthood onto children. We rush the destination. We rush, but we never talk about the things that have to die in order for us to bear the fruit of what is. You know what I'm saying? We code switch. We got these different church identities versus our real selves. People will go in there and put on their best clothes on Sunday and be a hot ass mess like everywhere else, right? I really like seeing this. Like, I really wish I was a sociologist at some point in time. I mean, preachers are. I'm also ordained clergy. Tap, 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 clap, clap, clap. With my cheers, but I'm gonna say amen for myself because I can't really hear y'all. Watching students bury their academic promise and grow into something different that they weren't expecting or their parents weren't expecting, right? Or just reinventing themselves so they could survive, which is also very important as we think about this from a standpoint of a person and when the light shines on them or when they're first burying their first seed and fruit is produced. Like we cannot, and I'm bringing this up. Gucci Man writes in his book Episodes, which I think everybody should read. Very great commentary on the mental health crisis that's happening within the African American community. He talks about this idea of seeing somebody like you see that they have arrived, but you don't see really the whole picture. And even if you look at Tyler the Creator's work, it's the same thing. Like we look at Tyler the Creator's work, he has this when you see that music video, he has this theater in which he pulls up every persona that he has been for the last 10 years and like attempts to explain himself through all these eras of persons that he has become. But like one of the real important things, and I think I'm bringing all this up about death, resurrection, cultivating who you want to be, where you want to be, what you're becoming, is because we never look at the constant falling and rising of a person. We never look at this. We're always looking at channeling them at this one point. We never really measure the development of a person. We want to keep them to where we think that they are, right? And we want to resurrect only the things that we think should be. And sometimes there are ungodly, unholy resurrections that happen all the time. And sometimes we resurrect things that we shouldn't have, but it's also for survival. Like the real, the real conversation that I think I'm really trying to have to say at this moment is that the world will clap at your resurrection, but nobody will show up to your funeral. Like it happens so many times, and it's so frustrating. It's because you're continuously watching this birth, this death, resurrection thing. This thing is happening every time people are going through these changes. Things have to die so that other fruit can bear. Like we don't measure these things at all. We're like microwaves. Like everything is microwavable. Like everything is what it is. Like we put something in the microwave, we press 3 minutes, that's what we expect. And that's how we treat society. But I really want us to say, Like, I really want us to think. I really want us to dig deep as we think about the scripture text, as we think about what our whole story is, as what we think about what Jesus is trying to tell us in verse 24 in chapter 12. Jesus said, nothing grows unless it dies first. Nothing grows unless it dies. What parts of you had to die just so you can exist in this world? What parts of you had to die just so you can exist in this world? Take a sit, like sit there, think about it. Think about some of the things that had to die. Like for my own personal self, like I have always been known as this loud, rambunctious person, and I am that with certain people. I mean, that's another talk for another time about who can see your authentic self and the things that you have to do in order for protection, which we don't talk about enough. Publicly, we have these private conversations for the preservation of like capitalism. But in all honesty, what part of you had to die so you can exist in this world? Like, what part of you that you had to let go so that you can become who you need to become? And I think like as you go through that music video with Tyler the Creator, and I want y'all to honestly be patient with me because I don't really know all of this technology stuff. I just got the microphone for $37 on TikTok. I got me some speakers. Hell, this is the second inaugural one because the first one ain't had no sound. And I want you to think about what does it mean for uh, uh, a resurrection? There's two examples. One is from Tyler the Creator. The other one is from how, like, we never understand historically how much the Black body, man and woman, have had to go through of purging themselves, of losing something and not being able to fulfill itself. When we think of August Wilson, who writes, like he's one of the greatest writers of all time. Some people don't really understand him. It's cool. We can have a whole conversation about August Wilson later on. That's not the time for him right now. But August Wilson has this play called Joe Turner's Come and Gone, which basically chronicles how men and women would disappear post emancipation because of the laws and things that were conditioned to have Black people be criminalized. They would disappear and attempt to find themselves post the 7 years that they spent on a chain gang, the 7 years they spent as a sharecropper, the 7 years that they spent doing all the things that they have done. You got to think about this from a large scale. Like, what has to die? Harold Loomis in the August Wilson text, he comes out of sharecropping chain gang. He's trying to find his family. He's trying to put these pieces together, and he realizes that parts of what has happened have died. His wife leaves him. There's this girl, his daughter, and then there's this new life that he needs. But the reality is he's still trapped in what was past and wants to be able to bury what was so that he can be fruitful in what is to come. So the reality is that there is some kind of, like with a plant, we know it germinates, it creates roots, it does all this other stuff. But from a figurative and literal language, we don't really have a conversation about what it means to be able to, as Christ did, as all of us will or have shed some ideation of what it means to become new through bloodshed. Not like violence, because in Harold Loomis thing, he comes to the end and there's this person, she's saying scripture, and Harold Loomis looks at them and embodies his own resurrection by cutting himself and saying that his blood renews him. He buries what was past in order to resurrect into where he was getting ready to go to. And I think it's important when we even look at Tyler the Creator's work in this music video, in the lyrics that he writes. I'm sorry to cut you off. All of these things. He has an audience of people that he loves. He has his ancestors. He has his male partners, his female partners, his friends, his mother, all in a studio audience looking at all of the people that he was in order to get to where he is right now. So as he's talking in the personification that he's made for this album in this song, there is a guy going around killing every other persona that is around the one that he's created right now. And when we look at it at the end, his own resurrection is through his own bloodshed or the blood or the rebirth of his own self. I brought all of this up because it's about to be Lent. Y'all are thinking about, ooh, what am I going to give up? What am I going to give up so that I can be closer to Christ in observing his betrayal, death, resurrection, and celebration? What am I going to give up? Lent is next Wednesday. I said it's next Wednesday. I want you to understand. I want you to hear this. You need to prepare to let something die so that something fruitful can become on the other end of this 40-day season. There needs to be something that dies. Like for me, what am I going to bury as a seed? I'm going to bury unnecessary, excessive anger, right? Being tested. Like right before I got on this live stream, the first one where it didn't work out, I was about to be angry about something. I am going to bury those things so I can be fruitful in the end. Frustrated, right? In the inability to be able to love. These are things, these are seeds that I have to let die so that I can be fruitful and to go into something that I actually believe is for me, but I've been fighting my own self. There is time, like Christ says these things in John. I like John's gospel because it's so funky. It reads like baby Shakespeare a little bit. Like I like John. It's important for us to let things die and be buried so that we can see the fruit. And the thing is, whether or not it's through our own bloodshed or Christ's bloodshed, we should be able to pay attention that still that there is some newness, there is some fruitfulness, there is something that allows us to be fresh and anew. And so I want y'all to still think about that. Take some time, find a way, reflect on it, cry if you got to, write a journal if you got to. Like, we come back in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be talking about burial and resurrection again. It's going to be something totally different. But I think like as we're going into this special season this time, it is important that we have moments in which we can bury things, bury the anger. I'm looking at JT's thing. I don't know if she's still on here, but JT, like burying the anger so that something else can grow, burying the disappointment of years spent doing something that you know you ain't had no business doing, burying things that ain't make no sense whatsoever. I see Michelle wrote it down. Leonza, burying things so that something fruitful can come on the other side. That's the most important thing. Is that we're always in a constant death and resurrection. There is, especially for Black people, we are constantly dying and resurrecting at the same time because of who we are. We are people who rise in spite of. Here's a song right now. I'm only gonna play a little bit of it, right? As a matter of fact, y'all should just listen it to yourself, all right? It's Tyler, the Creator. Sorry, not sorry. I sent you the link. I'm gonna put the link back in there again. I do love me some Tyler, the Creator, you know? I think he's one of the greatest rappers that we have. Shout out to the West Coast right now. They're just, like, killing the game. But I wanna thank you all for journeying with us today, and I want you all to think about this seriously because we're living in a world that's totally chaotic, and we ain't got shit to do with half the shit that's happening, but they so mad that we have prospered in spite of that they trying to find ways to, like, keep us down, and the best thing for us to do is to fight some of these battles, be conscious of what's going on, but also bury some things so that the fruits can come to us, not just individually. Because people look at fruit and be like, "Oh, I'm about to get money, hallelujah, shakalabakala." Like, nah. Think about it. Dig deep. Reflect hard. Be who you wanna be. Why did I just put the live stream in there? I meant to put the YouTube in there. Bear with me. Y'all know this is the first time I'm doing this. I want y'all to think about this piece as we get ready to sign off, that we are living in a world that celebrates fruit but ignores the burial process. And maybe the work of our time is learning to how to become new without losing our souls. We are all seeds somewhere in the ground between nightmare and prophecy. I want to tell y'all this. I love y'all like a fat kid loves cake, and there's nothing you could do about it. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. Thank you for coming to the second inaugural of the first inaugural, because this first inaugural had no sound. Is there no laughter button? Like I didn't put no sound on the first one. But I'm kind of glad because it made me get all the kinks out and everything else like that. So I want to thank you for sitting with me tonight. I'll be back in 2 weeks, same place, same hour, which is 9:00, not actually 9:55. It's 9:00. I will see y'all there. I hope you find some time to grow and to resurrect something that is dead. I love you like a fat kid loves cake. There's nothing you can do about it. Share this live with somebody next time. Love y'all. Peace.
Pardon me.